So, as you all know, the theme of today's TED Talk event is unexpected love. When many people hear the word love, they often think about their relationship with others, or objects and hobbies that they are passionate about and love. Yet, they're forgetting about one of the most important aspects of love, which is self-love. Self-love is something that has always existed, but it's only been deemed as important in the past couple of years. Self-love is common in social media, arts, psychology, and many areas. And some artists even use it as inspiration for their own songs and social media platforms. So, before I continue, we need to know what self-love actually is. And one key thing is to know the difference between self-love and narcissism. So, self-love is loving yourself without comparing yourself to anyone else. It's about taking pride in your own performance and achievements and realizing that it's okay to be uncertain and to doubt yourself. Narcissism, however, is the opposite. Narcissists compare themselves to others to make themselves feel better about themselves. And they crave for validation and attention from other people. So, in other words, self-love is an authentic and honest appreciation of yourself, while narcissism is all about proving that you're better than everyone else and making sure that people see you the way you want to be seen. So, how is self-love unexpected? Self-love is unexpected because it often happens after you go through a time in your life where you're not so happy and you feel down. So, I want you guys to think of an event or a period in your life where you felt hopeless and loveless, where you felt sad or in pain. Think about your emotion at that time. And think about how you dealt with these emotions and how you treated other people during this period of time. Everyone goes through something like that, some more severe than others, but everyone does go through something like that in their life. I personally, being a teenager, have also gone through that. There was a time in my life where I felt like I was worse than others, like I couldn't do anything well and I wasn't good enough. But as time went on, I started to realize that feeling this way wasn't going to help anything, and that nothing was going to get better just because you keep beating yourself down. Many people that experience these events think that way. They often try to analyze every single move they make, and they overthink about every single situation. Yet, the more they analyze, the more they realize their own flaws and weaknesses. After realizing these, they usually go one or two ways. First way is to continue to criticize yourself of these flaws. And the second way is to try and change these flaws. And this is something that is called self-compassion. Self-compassion is encouraging you to acknowledge your flaws and limitations. It's about treating yourself the same way you would treat others when they are going through difficult times as well. And research shows that self-compassion and self-love, it's a great way to make sure you're doing the best you can. So, why is self-love so important? Self-love brings many benefits to your life, including a greater mental health and a better lifestyle. Research shows that people with lower self-compassion are at a greater risk of self-judgment, isolation, and over-identification, which are all symptoms of depression. So, having a higher self-compassion actually allows you to protect yourself from depression and all these negative outcomes that come with it. People that have higher self-compassion are not as troubled by these symptoms, and they are able to cope with these symptoms a lot better than people with low self-compassion. High self-compassion brings many benefits to your life, including greater happiness, greater wisdom, and a better lifestyle. But what happens when when one lacks too much self-love. When one lacks self-love, they may get diagnosed with something called self-love deficit disorder. People with this disorder often find themselves in difficult and dysfunctional relationships because the problem they have cannot be solved by anyone else. It can't be solved by the love that are given to them. It can only be solved by the love that they give themselves. So, here behind me is the self-love deficit pyramid. On the bottom row, it says attachment trauma. This is something that happened to the person before they got the symptom. It could be from when they were young, when they grew up with a narcissistic parent, or even if they have a narcissistic friend. The second row is poor shape. It's when the person has a distorted definition of themselves, when they feel like they're worthless and unlovable, and they might think things like, I'm only as good as what I do for others. The third row is pathological loneliness, and it's the pain of being alone. It's when these people feel like they're worthless, and they feel pain because of these things that they feel. The next row is SLDD addiction, and this is self-medication. It's basically saying that people with this disorder are attracted to narcissists. Because as I said before, narcissists love comparing themselves to others to make them feel better about themselves. And people with this disorder allow them to do that. And the very top is self-love deficit disorder. It's when it becomes a habit for the person to control others, to love them, and to change themselves so that other people will love them. People with self-love deficit disorder often feel lonely and desperate for love and affection. They find themselves in relationships with narcissists. And narcissists often take advantage because they have this disorder. But the only cure for this disorder is when they learn to love themselves. Because when they learn to love themselves, they'll find that a lot of their pain, sadness, anger, frustration, it all goes away. So, I talked a lot about what self-love is, but I haven't really told you guys how to love yourself. There are, of course, many ways to love yourself, hundreds, thousands, but today I'm going to be talking about 3. First way is to embrace your feelings. Not just your positive feelings, but your negative feelings as well. It can be sadness or pain, everything. Because loving yourself is about loving everything about yourself. Not just your strengths, also your weaknesses. It's about accepting who you are. Second thing is to focus on yourself. Many people think that focusing on yourself is selfish, but that's not the case. Focusing on yourself is about not comparing yourself to others, not caring about what other people think of you, but only about how you think about yourself. It's about realizing that everyone is different and not doing something just because someone tells you to or because all your friends are doing it. It's about doing what you want to do and being who you want to be. The last point is to give yourself a break. It's okay not to be busy all the time, and sometimes it's really hard to make time for yourself. And trust me, I know that. But sometimes you need to give yourself a break. Travel, read a book, listen to music, dance around your room, or even just sit on your bed and space out. Because in order to love yourself and to be mindful, your brain also needs a break. So, from my TED Talk today, I hope you guys remember this quote, that you can't love anyone else until you learn to love yourself. Because although this quote may sound cheesy and unrealistic, it is definitely true. Thank you.